Hi guys and welcome to Bomb Anime.
It's your girl Ruka.
And Big Boy Sama here, bringing you our part 1 on Kotaro Lives Alone.
We watched the first 5 episodes. I watched it in English. I want to say right off the bat, the soundtrack is great and really well placed. It gives the entire thing this melancholic feeling before you even know what's going on.
I also want to say that this moved me. I'm not saying I cried. It's not like the classical things that make you cry. It's just the subtle ways they did it, but we're going to talk about it anyways.
Yes, this show is very emotional. And as you go along, you find out more. We've only watched episodes 1 to 5, so we have not finished the entire thing. So in episode 3, in this episode, Shin and Mitsuki take Kotaro for a picnic and they try to snap a picture of him. He runs away and later on we see his nightmare, which is actually a flashback where he had taken a picture in front of the orphanage he was living at and his very angry dad tries to collect him while he hides and the other children are basically exclaiming how afraid they are by his dad. In this episode, we also hear that his mom is dead and her life insurance is actually what he's been living on. He doesn't know that his mom's dead, but you do get the sense that he does have an inkling that this money is not really coming from a generous donor and it's from someone that he knows. And he says to the lawyer who's giving him the money that he hopes that if he's generous to the people who are giving him the money, the generosity will reach the donor. And this is where I cried, guys. It was so sad.
So, man like me don't cry often in it, fam. But this was one of the moments where I cried. There was multiple moments. Because when I watch anime now, I'm always in work mode where I'm trying to analyze everything or whatever. This one, I was immersed. I was in it. I wasn't even trying to do no notes or nothing. I was like watching this anime and feeling my feels in it. So, yeah, that moment was tough. Hearing him talk about loneliness was tough. Him and his friend Kakeru, when he tried to run away, saying, I'm running away from home. My mum keeps nagging, blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking to myself, this boy that you're talking to, it reminded me of, like, you know in Naruto, when Sakura was, like, dumping on orphans to Sasuke. And he was like, don't you know I'm an orphan too? How inconsiderate of you. It felt like that. And I'm glad that the authors and the creators decided that Kakeru wasn't a one-dimensional character. He actually felt the situation when he realized that his parents don't come home, that he was being an idiot, and he ran back. And this boy learned, and it was just a brilliant piece of writing in general. And they do this often. In every episode, there's a brilliant piece of characterization, multiple pieces of characterization, and they've nailed it, I think, personally.
Yeah, they actually tackle a lot of tough issues, like you were saying, with him not understanding, but we do have to understand that they are 4 years old.
Yeah.
And he wasn't really seriously running away. He just wanted more attention. And if you actually look into it a little bit deeper, that friend lives at home with his mom, but the person doing everything for him is his nanny, not his mom, not his dad.
Not his mom or his dad.
So him running away is actually still important from his perspective because he kept saying, then they'll know how much they love us. Then they'll understand how much they care about us. He wanted attention that he probably isn't getting from his mom. His mom's probably busy. She's probably working and that's why he has a nanny. Also, they're quite well off. So there's certain things that come along with that as well. He does have a lot of self-awareness though, even as like a spoiled rich kid. Even though he was saying, oh, I can't do this, he still went and tried to catch his dinner. He cooked and he was so excited that he had achieved something.
Yeah.
So this, like you said, they're not creating one-dimensional characters. Each character is more than what they are. Also, I really like the way that they tackled the outsiders because all of these people together they're all outsiders. Isamu, who looks like a gangster, we don't know if he's a gangster, but we do know that his son does not want to see him and he's not been able to see his child who he loves. People talk about him when he walks down the street because they're saying that he's dangerous. Police officers continuously approach him and just assume that he is doing something wrong when you actually know him, his personality, he's a really nice guy. He hasn't done anything bad to anyone. Then you've got Mitsuki, who seems really fun and bubbly, but she's actually working at a hostess bar, which there's nothing wrong with it, but I feel like there's something more to it because we found her in one of the episodes crying and she was trying to hide that she was crying. So there's something there for her that's a little bit more. And then of course you've got Shin, who is the manga artist who has no motivation. He's won this great prize for his work and now he just has no get up and go. He's lost all his passion. He's not producing the same amounts of work that he usually does. And he's really started to shut himself away from everything. You saw that he wasn't showering and he was coming up with excuses for why he wasn't showering. He wasn't leaving his house. Every time we saw his publisher was coming to him, later on after he meets Kotaro, then he starts to actually leave the house more. So there's more there as well with him. These people are all sort of outsiders that people would possibly look down upon. And they've all come together and they're leaning on each other. And it really gave me the same feel as The Way of the House Husband, where you had these outsiders that were really looked down upon. Yes, it was different because they were Yakuza and they had obviously committed crimes, but they were trying to make up for what they had done. They were trying to repay their debts to society. They were trying to start again. And I got the same sort of feeling of these outsiders coming together and basically finding comfort in each other, because you can't really find comfort anywhere else.
Yeah, I totally agree with Ruka here. Like, it was nice to see how they humanize the people that people try to not humanize in normal everyday life. And it was great because, again, they don't make one-dimensional characters, and so you actually see the reality of the situation. And this extraordinary thing about Kotaro being there, he's 4 and living by himself. Who the hell let this happen? Like, what the hell does this actually happen? A 4-year-old cooking gourmet dinners, bro. Michelin star quality food. Like, do you get what I mean? It's mad. But again, it's soaked in realism and it's great. I have a theory.
Got a theory.
Kotaro is the Messiah. Hear me out. He wears a top that had God on it, but that's not the only thing. He goes to the fringes of society and helps them, constantly giving them advice and healing them from their inadequacies of life. Not always through touch, but sometimes through touch. And he shows his human side. He's got them Messiah qualities, them. It sounds pretty cool.
It does sound pretty cool, but I don't think that's where it's going personally. But that is actually quite a cool theory that actually does fit.
And who was Jesus' best friend? Mary Magdalene? Who was mitsuki?
No, come on, she's the hostess.
No one's drinking beers and trying to cry out their sorrows after work as a hostess for no reason.
No idea.
I have no idea, but I've got the implication, and that's where I'm going with it. I've only watched 5 episodes.
But back to actually episode 3, where we find out a bit about Kotaro. Earlier on, we saw that he had been having these nightmares where he actually had stopped sleeping. And I'm wondering if this has actually got something to do with his life. We also saw that although his mom was around, she was neglectful. And the fact that he was in the orphanage yet doesn't know that his mom has passed away suggests to me that he was put into care before his mom died. And it's possibly because of the way that his dad was. He obviously went under the table and he was holding his ears and he was bent over. It makes me feel as if he has done this countless times. His dad sounded abusive, maybe not physically, but if not physically, definitely verbally. He was a person who scared him enough that he ran away from the group home that he seemed to be adjusting in.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like it was a bad situation where he was. And it was really sad because although this is an anime, children do go through these types of awful situations and they're moved from the people who are supposed to love them to an orphanage or foster carers that also might not even be a good situation. They might be going from a bad situation to a worse situation or to a similar situation, and they've got to look over their backs to make sure that the parent, the person that's supposed to love them, isn't coming after them to ruin their lives more. How cruel. It's just so, it's so horrible, and my heart breaks that this actually happens really, like to real human beings, to people. And I think that this anime really dealt with these very difficult, hard topics in a really relevant and sensitive way.
You don't become this super independent at the age of 4 without some stuff happening to you. The fact that he is still willing to help others, willing to shine a light onto people that he feels are less fortunate. Man had a birthday cake and he brought it to some cats. Man saw a woman drunk on the floor and realized she'd been crying all night. Now, I've been reading, I've read it multiple times, Solo Leveling. This guy's perception stat is on a different level, fam. He even told his teacher, listen, I know you're fake smiling, fam, but don't worry, I'm not going to say nothing. Why is he so perceptive? Because he's been through that situation. He has first-hand knowledge of what that kind of pain is like. I find it easier to fake smile. He said a bar earlier on that just told, I'm not even going to say it. Boy, whoo.
Yeah, he actually had said that it never occurred to him that him being born was a good thing, which was really sad. And in the flashback with his mom, although it was very short and she was ignoring him, I did get neglect from that, but I also felt as if the mom herself was depressed, and I wouldn't be surprised if she had herself, but since her insurance is covering his expenses, I'm guessing that she didn't, because a lot of insurance policies won't include suicide in their policies. But she did seem as if she was extremely depressed. This anime really has a way of making you look at everything through everybody's eyes, even if you're considering the person to be a negative influence on the anime. It's amazing. Also, the way that Kotaro is actually dealing with his trauma is very interesting, because although he's very grown up, like you were saying, and he can do all of these things, he is extremely childlike. He turns his life into this one cartoon. He acts as if everything is the cartoon. He speaks the same way as the character. He bought the little sword. It's the only toy that he owns. His house is extremely tidy. It's very simple. He only has one single toy, and it's the sword that looks as if it's the same as the cartoon that he likes to watch. And he acts as if the events that are going on are a part of the cartoon, and it seems as if this is the way that he is coping with all of the trauma that he's had to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, it's very dissociative. Now, if it works, it works. Because, like, let's be honest, life can throw you some things. So if this is the way he has to be in order to make sure he's living a life very independent, so be it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. However, he needs some help. He needs some therapy, mate. He just needs a good life. And I am so glad that they didn't demonize the people on the outskirts, and they actually brought him home as people that are helpful to Kotaro. No one's tried to exploit him once. They know he's got money, and no one's tried to exploit him once. And that, to be honest, that is a true testament to the good-natured characters that they have created here.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I did think at one point that Shin was going to try and exploit him when he realized that he had money, but he didn't. Also, Shin really dismissed Kotaro at the very beginning, and then he was watching a news program and saw that a child had been abducted, and he was like, oh, where are the adults? It's something that everyone would say while watching something like that. Like, where was everybody? This couldn't have happened with literally no one seeing it. But when you actually think about it, it is very uncomfortable. I've actually personally helped a couple of lost kids, and the first time that I did it, I felt like, oh, should I even approach this child? Like, their parent is probably close by. You know, all these things go through your head. You don't want to scare the child. From the first time that I actually got involved, I actually helped that child find his mom, who was frantic and extremely scared. She was actually running around trying to find her child. I think that as women, we need to do it more, because I think that if I feel this way, like nervous, a man would feel even worse, because they're looked at like, oh, is he trying to do something? So I think that we should really get involved, because literally you could be that last step before something bad happening to somebody. So although this is an anime, like, I hope that everybody out there takes the message and steps in when you can. I'm not saying put your life in danger, but just step in when you can. Yeah,
as a man, I've been in a few situations where I helped some lost kids as well, but I generally tend to stay close and vigilant, because just like you said, I'm afraid of kids being afraid or screaming, who's this stranger trying to get, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a bit tough, but I read this book actually, Gavin DeBecker, The Gift of Fear. He said that teach your children to find the nearest woman to help them out if they ever get lost. And that's just it. Also, one more thing. Anime recently, and I'm talking about in the last 5 years, has really been social commentary to the max. And we all like anime because of how it made us feel and how it makes us feel. Like, for example, I'm just gonna throw it out there, Naruto. Believe it. Do it the best you can. Go for your goals. Become Hokage.
Persevere.
Asta, better than Naruto. Do what you can. Not a better show than Naruto. Just
watch out versus Naruto versus Asta.
But, you know, Asta is a better character. These animes are actually teaching things, and I feel like we like anime because of messages, and I feel like we need to start embodying it as a society.
I would say one negative thing about this that I noticed is that sometimes it does feel like they over-explain when there's actually already enough there that they don't have to spell it out, but you do get used to it. It's quite on the nose a lot of the time, but it really doesn't need to. It's almost like it's afraid that we won't get where they're coming from, so they add extra bits, but it really doesn't need it. We do understand. You're audience is smart enough to get what exactly it is that the message is. Because you've put so much into it already, you don't have to spell it out every single time. I'm just saying.
And on that note,
don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Leave your comments down below.
Peace.